Thanks for watching our videos here in the Audrain Museum Network. And if you're enjoying these, as I know you are, subscribe. Subscribe today. Hit that subscriber button, hit the bell icon to be notified when we post new content, and of course, be sure to follow us on Instagram. We are everywhere with what you want. Join us. Hello, and welcome to the Audrain Automobile Museum here in Newport, Rhode Island, and our latest exhibition, Wonders in Wood, on Land and by Sea. This is an exhibition that really helps us to fulfill our mission to celebrate, preserve, and share not only automotive history, but nautical history as well. Why, you might ask, in a car museum? Think about where we are, Newport, Rhode Island, one of the sailing capitals of the world, and it's quite natural that we would reach out and celebrate those aspects of a boat that also have very interesting parallels in cars. It's also a great opportunity for us to collaborate with fellow institutions. We're doing this show with generous loans from the Herreshoff Marine Museum in Bristol, Rhode Island, the Mystic Seaport Museum in Mystic, Connecticut, as well as the Irish School of Technology and Trades here in Newport. And this is also a show, as many of you may know who watch this channel, that in addition to my passion for cars, I also have a bit of a passion and a bit of a past in music. And just as I have that passion for music, my colleague, the executive director and chief curator of the Audrain Automobile Museum, David DeMuzio, has a passion for wood.
Hello, Donald.
Hey, David. A lot of you don't know that in addition to his great automotive passion, David is also a wood master. Now, David, tell us a little bit about your history with wood.
Oh, it started with my grandfather, who was a stonemason and cabinet maker, working with my father, who was an engineer and liked puttering in the shop. But that really took me into architecture school. I loved designing and building furniture. After college, I worked in a boat shop for a number of years, and then got very interested in art conservation, specializing in wood, so furniture and architectural woodwork. So my whole career basically has bounced around in some aspect of wood.
And you know, because of that, David, you and I have had lots of conversations. First of all, many people have asked for practically the entire time that the Audrain has been open, when are you folks going to do something with cars and boats? It's such a natural thing. Yeah. And we talked a lot about how to do that and what made the most sense. And we came up with the idea that when you look at some of the aspects of what goes into designing and building and maintaining boats, they're very similar to those challenges that you have with automobiles, and the opportunities that designers took in designing boats and designing cars for what we like to call sort of the sort of 4 points as relates to utility, efficiency, style, and fashion. And we'll see in this show. And by the way, this is just a very brief overview of the incredible number of items in the show and what they mean. And so we'll be coming back to you, as we always do during these exhibitions, with detailed videos on the specific boats and cars in the exhibition to tell you a little bit more about what makes them the things that were chosen for this exhibition. But, you know, David, let's just talk about sort of fun with wood and practicality with wood.
Yes, you know, one of the things for me is I've learned a lot about pre-war cars since I've been here at the Audrain, and I realize more and more how much wood there actually is in the car. You often don't see it because it's supporting sheet metal and doing other things. So that sort of sparked my interest in the practical utility, structural part of wood in cars as well as boats, of course. We have lots of other examples here where you have varnished wood, and it's obviously showing its glory. And that's sort of the other end of the spectrum. And there's lots of little bits in between. Sometimes the car, it's only the dashboard. A little wood on the dashboard makes you smile when you get in the car. And it goes from that to almost all wood. So we're going to be talking about various aspects of wood and how it's executed in a boat or in a car.
One of the things this exhibition does, of course, is also showcase something that we do very well here at the Audrain, which is to show a great range of objects. Mm-hmm. We've got objects ranging from 1892 to 1995. The 1995 object might surprise a lot of people because when they walk in, they think, oh, that could have been made in 1870, who knows?
That's right.
But we go from literally a carriage, a formal carriage, in this case a wonderful Brewster-bodied carriage. Brewster is a company that went on to make great coach-built bodies for automobiles, but this is a horse-drawn carriage, and we see in all of the objects here in this show that evidence of coach building, of craftsmanship. And whether, as you mentioned, you see it immediately upon seeing the object or have to hunt a little bit, it makes the show a very interesting one, and especially as it relates to when wood is fashioned, like it is here in this 1914 Rolls-Royce, or on that great 1948 Chrysler Town and Country and Chris Craft runabout back there.
Yeah, sort of the sort of marketing and meaningful part of the image, the marketing or meaningful part of what the wood is doing changes, and if we had more room, maybe we put in a 1960 Mercury station wagon like my mother's, which had wood siding, but there was no wood in the car,
When is a woody not actually a woody? But so, we'll see that as well. Now we're going to take a look at the very utilitarian side of wood. We've seen some of the fashion and style part. Let's take a look at the utility.
Excellent.
We talk about the various parts of utility versus fashion, and here in this corner of the show, we've got utility and fashion all together. This great Morris Oxford shooting brake from the UK, and this wonderful 1922 Ford Model T depot hack, combined with our Lancia Aurelia Viotti Giardiniera, and this absolutely wonderful boat with another automotive connection, which is, I think, really neat too.
Yes, Henry Ford, the tender to his large steam yacht.
And of course, well, we don't want to give away too much about the future plans of the exhibitions here at the Audrain, but when you first mentioned the availability of this wonderful launch from the Herreshoff Museum, I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great to get the steam launch and put the steam yacht here in the museum? But that's a completely different show. But it's a really interesting thing. You and I were chatting about these techniques, and we'll get into this in a more detailed video. But the fact that you see traditional woodworking techniques that were used on wagons from the 15th, 16th, 17th century being used in these cars in the 20th century, and that's a fascinating thing as well.
Yeah, and I think that speaks, and we'll talk more about this, from the Brewster coach, which is just supremely well-crafted woodwork, painted. Those same craftsmen obviously transition into putting bodies on horseless carriages and brass air cars and pre-war cars. But the tradition starts long before that with frame and panel construction, which you see in furniture, architectural woodwork, and in cars.
And it's also quite interesting when we take a more detailed look at the way some of these cars and boats are built, that the construction methods that are used in boats are frequently also seen in cars, both seen and unseen.
That's right.
And so that's going to be another fascinating aspect of this exhibition.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about that.
And for our last little vignette today, let's take a look at two of the most fascinating cars in the exhibition. I know we don't have favorites, but
we do.
We do. Come, let's take a look at that, David. Now, David, we've spoken a bit about functional wood, visible wood, wood for fashion, and the utility part of it. But here we have two cars, and this is going to be such a fascinating part. We don't want to give away too much too soon. But people may say, what the heck? There's this Morgan in the show? What's that all about? And of course, this Amla car, which is one of our favorite objects in the show, which is so incredibly expressive. It's like, I think you described it the other day when it came in. It's like a piece of furniture on wheels.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it truly is. Aesthetically and with construction. We'll talk a lot about that later.
And there's always that joke, I have to bring this in because there's a Morgan in the show about wood cars and boats, because there's always this thing that Morgans, aren't those cars made of wood? And you'll find out that yes, there is a lot of wood in the Morgan, but not in the way a lot of people think. We're really excited about this show, Wonders in Wood on Land and by Sea, which runs through Sunday, June 18th. Of course, we'll be coming back to you, as we mentioned before, here in the Audrain Museum Network with more videos in depth looking at some of the boats and some of the cars in the exhibition, as well as having 3 great seminars during the run of the exhibition on boats and on the construction of classic cars. They're really exciting, and be sure to look out for those if you're here in the Newport area and want to come and visit us. And of course, members get first crack at those great seminars. So we're glad you're watching here and enjoy this show. And of course, if you're not a subscriber here, subscribe right now. Hit the button, hit the bell icon as well to be notified when we put up new content. Follow us on Instagram, like and tell your friends. Thanks for joining us, and welcome to this great show.